Ever since longtime Jeopardy host Alex Trebek passed away, the game show's producers have been scrambling to find a permanent replacement. Many famous candidates were given the opportunity to try their hand at hosting in guest stints. Such frontrunners included LeVar Burton. However, the search came to a shocking ending when one of the producers that was tasked with finding a replacement host gave the job to himself. That producer was Mike Richards, who has since given up the title as a result of the backlash. Join Factsverse as new Jeopardy host Mike Richards quits after one day. 9 days after being announced as the permanent replacement for deceased host Alex Trebek, Mike Richards has stepped down from the position. Mike has been an executive producer on Jeopardy and was greatly involved in the search for a replacement after Alex's passing. Given his involvement, many were suspicious when the news was announced he was going to be Jeopardy's new permanent host, with many believing Mike had simply given himself the position. There was a good deal of controversy when Mike was announced as the new host of Jeopardy, but nothing came to a head until remarks surfaced that the executive producer had made on a podcast several years prior. Before becoming the executive producer of Jeopardy, Mike had fulfilled that same role on The Price is Right for over a decade. While working as an executive producer on The Price is Right, he started a podcast called The Random Show. The podcast was meant to give viewers some insight into what it was like to produce a game show. However, the team behind The Price is Right has recently claimed to have not had any involvement with the production of the podcast. In the wake of Mike's announcement as Alex's permanent replacement, some problematic comments he made while hosting The Random Show were brought to light. These comments were decidedly sexist in nature and served to reinforce prior allegations that had been made against the game show executive producer. The revelation of these comments prompted Mike to remove all cataloged episodes of The Random Show from the internet, but not before the Anti-Defamation League sprung into action to call for an investigation around him. As a result of the investigation that was ordered by the Anti-Defamation League, Mike was found to be unfit to continue on as permanent host of Jeopardy! He was asked to step down from the role, though it appears he will be allowed to stay on as executive producer for the time being. Mike had only filmed 1 day's worth of episodes of Jeopardy! Before stepping down from his new position. Mike had been announced as the new permanent host of Jeopardy! On August 11th. He had only been the executive producer of the program for little over a year, but had been given the ability to exercise a good deal of control over the process by which a replacement for Alex was picked. Because of this, there was a great deal of controversy when it was announced the man had essentially picked himself. Some of the many qualified candidates who had vied for the position included TV staple and Reading Rainbow alum LeVar Burton, as well as beloved Jeopardy! Contestant and consulting producer Ken Jennings. Beyond fans being unhappy with the announcement that Mike was going to be the permanent replacement for Alex Trebek, there have also been rumors that the crew of Jeopardy! Has been unhappy under his leadership. Since Mike has become executive producer of the game show, the morale of the crew is said to have decreased a considerable amount. A similar phenomenon was said to have occurred soon after he became an executive producer on The Price is Right. According to insiders, it appears as if Mike has always viewed himself as being better than those working under him, and has always viewed his end goal of becoming host of whatever game show he's in charge of. In addition to his disparaging comments against women being brought to light after his announcement as the host, there were also various lawsuits that had been dug up from the time when he was an EP on The Price is Right. Apparently, Mike had a habit of treating his female workers inconsiderately. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. And stick around for more about Mike Richards. One of the lawsuits brought to light after Mike Richards was announced as the new host was a 2010 lawsuit filed by a woman by the name of Brandy Cochran. The lawsuit claimed she had experienced both discrimination and harassment while working as a model on the set of The Price is Right. Apparently, Brandy became pregnant. When it came time to announce her pregnancy to Mike, the producer scoffed and said he should have laid her off before it happened, as he had recently laid several other models off from the program and could have easily picked her to go instead. In addition to the aforementioned incident, the lawsuit also expressed Mike had made a habit of encouraging the models to wear smaller and more revealing outfits over time. Though it may not have been illegal, it showed Mike was a man not afraid to view women as objects. Given today's political climate, behavior like this doesn't always fly with modern audiences. Mike was hired as an executive producer of Jeopardy! In May of 2020. He was hired as a replacement for Harry Friedman, who had held the role for 23 years. Harry was largely responsible for Jeopardy! Becoming as successful as it was, and Mike had large shoes to fill. He was given the ability to shadow Harry for about half a year before being given the job. Soon after Mike started acting as executive producer, Alex Trebek passed away. The void the longtime host left was filled with various guest hosts. Behind the scenes, the producers were hard at work to find a permanent replacement for the beloved host. Heading the search was Mike himself, who hadn't even been acting in the role of executive producer for a year at that point. When the search for a permanent replacement for Alex began, he wasn't one of the main candidates. However, he started being increasingly brought up in discussions and was soon being ranked amongst the frontrunners to potentially fill the position. Many have come to speculate that Mike was doing devious things behind the scenes to help himself stand out as potential host. Given that Mike was the one charged with trying out guest hosts to see who might make a good permanent replacement, it's not hard to imagine how the executive producer could have sabotaged the operation in his favor. The producers made a big deal about the fact they were using cutting-edge analytics to help determine who the best permanent replacement was. This included audience testing, with several episodes being selected for testing in front of audiences after they were filmed. As it turns out, Mike was the one in charge of picking out which episodes were sent to the test audiences. One potential replacement for Alex Trebek, who has proven incredibly popular amongst fans, is LeVar Burton. Because of this, fans were shocked when LeVar was given half as much time to try out being a guest host compared to nearly every other candidate. And the episodes LeVar was given guest hosting duties on were aired during the Summer Olympics, when Jeopardy notoriously always struggles in the ratings. Both of these things severely hurt LeVar's chances of standing out as a potential permanent replacement for Alex Trebek, and many believe Mike orchestrated things to happen this way. Mike started in the entertainment industry over 2 decades ago, in 1997. His first job was as an intern behind the scenes of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. From there, he proved his worth to the staff and was given a full-time job as a production assistant. Eventually, he worked his way up to being a TV host, working on reality series like High School Reunion and Beauty and the Geek. In 2008, Mike auditioned to become Bob Barker's replacement on The Price is Right. Though the role went to Drew Carey, Mike made enough of an impression he was hired on as executive producer. Over a decade later, he left and was hired on to executive produce Jeopardy. Now that Mike is no longer going to be the permanent host of Jeopardy, it looks like fans are going to be subjected to another few rounds of guest hosts. It remains unclear who the permanent replacement will be, though fan favorites LeVar Burton and Ken Jennings are still in the running. Now it's time to hear from you. Comment down below to share whether or not you're happy to see Mike Richards relegated back to his executive producer capacity. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.